What a powerful experience I just had. I go out in the morning and plug my bare feet in the ground with Mom's battery and look directly up into the sun, yeah, and start sucking energy through my nasal passages, right? And breathing as one. Let's breathe. Let's breathe. And so it's just spectacular because I'm experiencing all the tingles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. um, but I suppose I've covered a lot of ground over what I've experienced that I share with others, right? Being a teacher and a student at the same time. That's what allows me to maintain a non-polarized consciousness state, which is neutral, which is a neutron window, which means the gate's always open. Yeah. And so you're everywhere at once simultaneously, wherever love is, we are. That's the simplicity of it, because your consciousness represents the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Because non-polarized consciousness, and this is where the gender splitting technology comes in, is when the electron and the proton, the father and mother, become one. And when you become one, to experience non-polarized consciousness, you're in the observer state. You're observing the all creation. Because you're observing the all creation, experiencing the eternal Christic star of eternal unconditional love, which is as pure as it gets. That's why it's known as a pure heart, which is pure energy, which is pure sound and light joined as one energy, because your consciousness is the entire electromagnetic spectrum. That's why when it comes to the negative and the positive, right? The negative slash the positive, whether you're going to divide or multiply, whether you're going to add or subtract, and the way that numbers work with alphanumerical formatting codes of mathematics. Yeah. So you can see how those folks that are negative, right, they're only experiencing half the spectrum, being what they are in consciousness. Then you have the RH positive folks, they're on the other side. Yeah. So when both the negative and positive are perfectly balanced out, they're fully integrated. Oh, they don't want to integrate. Very good. Precisely correct. And why is that? Because they refuse to give up their electrons. Remember, they represent one side of the spectrum. They don't want to give up. They don't want to surrender their side. They don't want to experience the other side, being one with the other side. You see, to cancel out both polarities. Now I'm not experiencing any polarity. Whoa, really? Yeah. That's called reintegration. That means you've integrated back into the one, the first star, firstborn eternal star, the sacred house of one. So they're gender splitting to split the atom, to split the mother and the father, so you don't experience being one. Those are self-destructive technologies, which are against the law. The law being one with all creation. So you know what happens to technologies like that, yeah. That's why the divide, the war, is between spiritual teachers and the acceleration of technologies that become self-destructive because they are not productive. Because everything is about learning speed, which is the evolution of consciousness and who the teachers are that we're learning through. So if students or units of consciousness energy are learning through the lowest form of intelligence because it has no love to give, then the learning speed is going to be running in the reverse flow, which is reversal evolution, going back to the lowest form of intelligence. And so when you put that through the blender, right, of the lowest form of intelligence, if you do it through the lens of conservation biology, looking at the fossil record, what's his name? The guy that was at the University of Arizona, I believe. What was his name? He did a lot of research on conservation biology. Gosh, I forget the name of him. He worked with a guy who was a neurologist out of the University of Arizona, which was another guy that he worked with called Penrose, I guess it was, a guy out of Oxford. They were doing a lot of studies on consciousness, which is energy, and how energy evolves as consciousness and the direction that it's going in, right? Direction. Like a gyrodome. Yeah. And so Guy McPherson. That's right. He was a professor emeritus. And one of the things that he pointed out, based on the data that he experienced, by experiencing the data by what he observed, was that when you realize consciousness is energy, that what they found looking at the fossil records is the most predatory or the most vampiric state of consciousness will always be the one that goes extinct first, faster than any other species or represented by another unit of consciousness. So you have all these units of consciousness that exist within an energetic environment or an ecosphere, right? And all the other units of consciousness realize that they have something present in their aquarium or in their terrarium that is eating away at the fabric of the universe at such a high rate of speed, it's not leaving any energy for the other species. So what do you think happens? All the other units of consciousness, the word gets out. We got to strengthen our shield. We're losing more of what we were once experiencing, which is what love is. Because now we're experiencing a huge vampire eating away at the food, at which is energy that we use in order to maintain what we're aware of. Yeah, so now that becomes a larger formation of consciousness that is choosing to come together as a shield. Like a shield volcano. Like the first volcano. Like the first atmosphere. Right? The highest speed spin rotation of an eternal star. So what he pointed out is that when you're vampiric, you're going to be the first to go extinct, which is a dying race. Unless you can make a self-correction by redeeming the energy that you took. By healing. So the one is always there, right? Because you can't put the one out. So you know the one is everywhere, simultaneously. So that's when we go deep within our heart and surrender to the one, which is surrender to ourselves to heal. And now our accretion levels begin to go up. Now I'm experiencing more of what it began with. Now remembering who I am from which it all began. In the birth of stars. I know. So this is where we're at. You know, the divide was always the acceleration of tech. I just make it simple. Like when I was a little kid, I realized, man, we got Frankensteins here. Frankenstein mad scientists. They don't know what they're doing because their mind. It's like planting an idea in a mind. Then that idea through a network goes to another mind, which represents another unit of consciousness. Now it becomes a larger formation. Now I learned what you learned because of an idea that you had in your head. Now I'm aware of what's in your head. Wow, look what we can develop together. How fast can we develop this? And then you end up with self-destructive technologies because the consciousness is now self-destructive. So now you're getting into the feedback side of things, which is learning the lessons in the development of technology and how that relates to learning speed. Yeah. So you know the fastest speed in evolution of consciousness is learning through the first star, which is experiencing what love is from which it all began. Yeah. So that's why we're all here. That's why this is Ashiana was absolutely correct when she said this is the last dance. Because the divide was the technology. Because you have the inception of love, the eternal Christic star, the fire language of DNA, the founder's race is mathematics, the frequencies and the codes, and then you have all the self-destructive technologies that are developed over time-space vectors. When you put it through the evolution of consciousness, it goes all the way back billions and billions and billions and billions of years that brought us to where we are today. And that's why all the ancient ancestral spiritual teachers are here. We're all here. That's why this is the last dance. Because you have the inception of love and you have the inception of technology. When the inception of technology is accelerating at a higher rate of speed than what love is, what happens? You lose your universe as a result of those technologies. Because now that consciousness in the integration of those technologies, because the consciousness is running those technologies, becomes self-destructive. Because look at the harm that it's doing to other seeded races. Love is the law, which is the law of building circuits, which is the law of building circles, which is the law of building spheres, which is the law of stars, This is the law of what? Building capacitors in a planetary Merkaba system. That's who we are. We build capacitors. The biggest capacitors, the biggest neurons, generating a gazillion neurons through our heart and our soul and our spirit. The essence of who we are. It is the essence that they consume. Because we all have a different essence, because we all represent a different spirit that does a dance in the Ra D neuroions, the communication platform from which it all began with the first eternal spirit of fire, which is on fire to love the all creation, because that's what it began with. That's who we are. Have a great day. We love you all. The sun is out. A day of dance. The sacred son of one, the house of one. We love you all. Be good to yourselves.